Okay, it is 4 p.m., so we'd like to call this meeting to order. And our first order of big business is to do the flag salute, so please stand. Ready, begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, and then our next order of business is to roll call. So we are going to go around the table as quickly as we can because we know everybody wants to get to the calendar. But I would love for you to share your name and your school and your role. So I'm Brie Van Rokel, Director of School Improvement.
Eric Ryan, Director of Technology.
Bill Guerra, Director of HR.
Michelle Gamble, Dean of Students, Dean Spiller.
Sydney Beda, High School Records Book.
Nick Gilbertson, Principal, Barnes Butte.
Christine Jackson, Barnes Butte Special Education.
Marilee Smith, Academic Coach, Barnes Butte.
Kimberly Connor, Principal, Crooked River.
Emma McLeod, Director, Elementary Teaching and Learning.
Kelsey Neistel, 5th grade, Crooked River.
Becky Carter, 8th grade Language Arts.
See some events.
Amanda Groves, Math Teacher, Grizzly Mountain.
Ashley Hopkins, ELD teacher, Barnes Butte Elementary.
Denby Durham, Student Success Center, Barnes Butte, and the Union Secretary.
And Casperger, Assistant Principal, CCHS.
Powell View Charter School, Greta Secor is my nickname, and I am our Family Student Services and Place-Based Coordinator.
Meredith Foley, Administrator, Paul Butte.
Eric Osborne, School Board. Joel Hoff, General Superintendent.
Betty Evans, Kirk County Middle School, 6th grade math. Oh, and Union Treasurer.
Tammy Parker, Executive Assistant.
Kelsey Swix, School Board. Excellent. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Really appreciate everyone taking the time. I know there's a mix of people here. Some of you are here because of calendar committee, and I'm so happy you're here. And then others of you are here to continue the work of the academic excellence committee. So we will be hitting on both tonight, but I do expect us to spend the bulk of the time on the calendar, the exciting part, right? So without further ado, we're going to jump into that. Before giving you a copy of the drafted calendar, I just wanted to make a few announcements to kind of introduce it. So the calendar you're going to be provided with is pretty much like a rollover of this year. Very similar in terms of number of days, all those things. What's different is that we always start after Labor Day, but Labor Day this next year falls on the 7th. So we have a later start, so that means we spread into June longer. So as you're looking at the calendar, keep that in mind, please. And then another thing I want to recognize as we start looking at the calendar today is we have Powell View in the room with us, which I think we are so grateful for. But I want us to be cognizant of the fact that they have operated on a pretty different calendar from our calendar. So one of the suggestions that I think might be brought out of our discussion is potentially shifting a PD day to the spring, maybe an April PD day to accommodate some of their needs. So that's just a thought I want to throw out there to the team before we start discussion. Another big difference this year that I want people to keep in their mind is this calendar has us having graduation on the 11th of June, which is a lot later. So if we end up doing that, we'll want to make sure to really loud and clear spread that message to families because people pay attention to that a long time in advance. However, I've been crunching numbers with senior days, and it is important that given the later starting at, that we would have it on the 11th. So that's one of the things. We checked the minutes, looked at all that. So this calendar is good in that regard. What I want us to do is we're going to pass it out. And then I'd like you to get in small groups. You can choose to work with people that are your common grade level or mix it up and hear perspectives from somebody that isn't your grade level. And we'll take probably at least 10 minutes to just go through the calendar, take down some notes. What are some things you like? What are some challenges and some issues you foresee that we've missed? And then what proposed changes do you have? I see this as being like a really great session to listen, gather feedback. And then we'll probably have to do another session before we can move it forward would be my guess. If we were, able to make those changes, make it happen in one meeting. I'm a Christian person, but I don't know if that's possible. I think it's really important that we take time to listen to the important perspectives that are bringing in this room tonight. So that being said, I will pass around your calendars and you guys can get into some small groups and have some time to chat.
Because they're graduating in. They graduate. Yeah, so just think that this is putting our families, like, seniors. Like the end. Okay. So we are. That would be a discussion of this team. It's like, so at this point, people know what so this rain is saying.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
But I want to be sure is I hope so you attend and also be. Because we're standing. I feel like you're always out of it. They're still working for.
Purple, yellow.
Yeah.
Like the first part of the day.
So start. Is that person's fault? I did a vote. Start have like kindergarten just started. So I'm teacher training, which is how we now. Can the job start? Yeah.
So we did it.
Look at that. May's pretty unprompted, but once we're gonna add a few days.
So. You're up for outdoors. Yeah, we don't know what they do, what. These are the first reason. So we just want to make sure that.
Do you want this year's?
This is them. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. And what I.
The whole time, I don't even hear that, so I would get all my reading. So, as a don't look at it, they don't, it's just like, it's really, just that, I thought it was still different. All the stretches.
Like.
But you have to worry about it. They always appreciated it. I went there.
We had here one. If it were, I had to start out. For me, is what it was.
Everything is just. I'm good. No, it's actually.
I mean, we did talk to parents about their experience with seniors, who didn't want to move it to this, you know, this to the end of the school, which is still school. And they, yeah.
I remember this,
Just
work
session.
that's why.
These numbers on here. America, you said May 7th, if we were to predict something on here that.
That's what we're doing.
It's probably one of those numbers.
While ago.
That's my time. Yeah. Like, I. It's like one of those.
No, it's not.
All right, hold on your hands. How much more time would you like in your small group chatting? I know this group's really talking still. Others, anyone? 0, 1, 2?
Yeah.
We'll do 2 more minutes because you guys are in the middle of a conversation. We'll do 2 more minutes.
Yeah. That's good. That's 2 years. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, it's fun because the June has like a cheater. The next year, that other year, there's parents going to these, so I really think it was nice to. First.
Look, I got the first run. It'll be worth the money.
Yes, I will send you the.
Yeah, we.
I love how she said. Which they don't do like.
All right, 1 minute warning.
The only thing I have heard about is unfortunately termination. Being on that 11th and they come back right.
Yeah. And a lot of people using their term. So we can.
Similar to ours.
All right, bring it back, please. Okay, let's start with the positives. What are some things as you talked in your small groups that you like about this calendar?
I'll start.
Thank you.
One of the things that I liked is I liked Christmas break, Christmas being right in the middle. So we have half and half, before and after. So that feels good for families who may travel or even staff members who need time for Christmas. So I was like, oh, that was.
That's one of my favorite things too. It's always nice when that happens.
Joel, your favorite?
I love everything about it. Hey, one thing we also like, Bree, is the trimesters are balanced. I know that's a big deal for middle school and high school staff, so that's nice.
Yeah, I think these are some of the most balanced that they've been in recent years, so I was excited about that too. Other positives? Okay, there's not too much to like about a calendar, right? What are some challenges or proposed changes? Maybe if we just want to go around to every group, because I think everyone had something. Or we could let one group start first. Somebody passionate about it can start first. Cindy?
So I know there's been a lot of talk from, and it's hard because we did do such a great job in balancing the trimesters. But that the grading day is 11th of December, and then we come back for a week, and then we're gone 2 weeks. So I heard that a lot of teachers were really struggling to teach that week, because it was like, we're gonna teach and then we're gonna be gone 2 weeks. So I did hear that chatter from this past year.
I would assume that's probably more of a secondary thing. Elementary probably love it, because then they can just do all their gradings, get that out of the way, and do some holiday stuff for the break. So, I mean, that's just my guess, being an elementary person, but I can see how the secondary world would be like, what do we do for a week?
Okay.
We talked about moving the whole thing up a week, like you led with, just with a start date. And having kids come back before Labor Day and then having that Labor Day off. I think that we like that idea for a couple reasons. I think it would be very interesting to have our first full week of school be a full week of school instead of 4 days. I think that on the high school level, we would really like that. And then getting out that late in June is difficult for just a lot of reasons. I think on the upper level piece of it, kids getting jobs, kids going to boot camp, kids going to college. I mean, like, colleges, they start school, the earliest ones are usually the second week of August. And so, I mean, that's a short break to earn money. And so we kind of push for having earlier start date. I did like having March, our spring break aligns with all the universities, which then that usually aligns with the other Central Oregon schools. So I think that's valuable as well.
Did anyone else discuss the Labor Day? You guys did? What were your thoughts? Did you guys have the same thought or something different?
We have the same thought. We kind of thought it'd be nice to start and then get a 3-day weekend.
It's come up a lot over the years.
And I do have a concern of it because, not that it affects anybody else, but the high school, if there's kids in FFA and go to state fair, state fair does not end until Labor Day. We come home really late that night, so it would take out a lot of kids.
Which is why we never started before.
Yeah.
We talked about it. It seems to come about
a lot.
every other year, and it always that.
And Pine has their calendar out. I think Kelsey looks.
Yeah.
And they're starting the night.
Yeah, they're starting the 9th.
They always put over update, doing Labor Day and then school starting of September.
And then Redmond doesn't have their calendar out yet.
Is their last day, does their June align with ours then?
Their last day is the 17th.
We have talked before, not a lot, but we do have staff members that have kids in Benton Pine and Redmond, so we do try to the greatest possible align so that they're sideways.
I believe when we were at a superintendent meeting, it was brought up and most districts were started their stuff.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah. Okay, all right, so not the topic. Other ideas, suggestions, proposed changes that groups discuss. Nick?
I would like to propose, and I brought it up to my group, extending the conference week to a Monday through Friday versus Thursday, Friday. It's not necessarily moving the entire week. If we want to continue to do them in October and April, but extending it and opening it up the first 3 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The way it was done at a previous school district that I worked at, as a teacher, I thought it was great to space them out over the course of the week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we had a couple hours each day, so we could do 3 or 4 conferences on Monday, 3 or 4 conferences on Tuesday, 3 or 4 on Wednesday. And then use Thursday to complete them. And if we, were able to book and complete all the conferences on those days, then Friday was then given off, or you had that off because you stayed the extra hours the previous days to get your conferences done. It gave evening times to parents, so it wasn't just a Thursday night or a Friday night that they had to come, they could come. Or scheduled Monday evening or Tuesday or Wednesday evening as well, so a lot of the working parents and stuff could make those, it seemed like it was easier and people appreciated it. I think a lot of teachers appreciated kind of spacing it out as well, so you're not jammed into doing 20 to 30, depending on your school or your class in 2 days.
Could we do it if in that scenario, like Monday and Tuesday and then just like Wednesday night? Because it's just, I know for, on the flip side, for a lot of working parents, that's another day for them to figure out.
I think they taught all day.
We taught all day.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, conferences in the evening.
So you just do like, was it 2 hours or 3 hours?
Yeah,
Over
it's
3
usually
days rather than.
2 hours, and it was optional for teachers, you didn't have to book it on Monday through Wednesday if you didn't want to, but.
Did they stay, if they didn't do all those evening conferences, did they do Thursday, Friday conferences?
Yeah, they still had to book all the conferences, they basically had more blocks of time, and then the teachers scheduled wherever they wanted to. They only wanted to do 1 or 2 Monday, they could, and then fill in the rest on Thursday, Friday, but it provided a lot more time blocks for for parents to choose from, and then it also gave teachers kind of some time if they wanted to have an extra day off on a 3-day weekend, or Redmond was back to spring breaks, was an extra day of spring break, but if you were able to get all the conferences in and you spent 2 hours each day and worked an extra 6-7 hours, and then PTO or the school provided, dinner for teachers that were there doing conferences on Wednesday, so it was seemed much more manageable and better for parents and for teachers, spacing it out over the course of the week. We wouldn't have to change any of the school days because the contact days would still be there. It's just additional hours that you stay after school.
I would not necessarily be opposed to that because myself as a teacher, I like that actual idea. But from the union perspective, I think we need to say, we need accountability and we need it to all be equal throughout the whole school district. So I don't know about the optional part, if that's would be great for the union. And Betty, you can chime in on the union representative also. That some teachers do it a certain way and other teachers do it another way, if we're going to have some members who may not be happy.
Would it, if as long as the blocks are open, like you have the option, meaning I've given you 4 blocks, but they don't get filled, would that still meet the union's criteria kind of deal?
Yes, but I worry about members coming back and saying, because I can see this playing out. So-and-so didn't do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but so-and-so has Friday off. I could just see that kind of thing coming
I
back.
can see that.
I can see that. I can totally see that. So, and so it just gets really muddy. So I really like your idea and your proposal, but I think if we do that, we try it as a district. That would be my take on that. I like that idea. We do it as a district. If anyone's having Fridays off, we all do Fridays off. And if anyone's doing that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're all doing it. That's just my take.
Yeah, it's certainly manageable to do it. I never went over, I don't think I ever went over noon on Thursday. I mean, you have multiple, there's so many blocks of time to choose from to fill them all in. Except for there's always one parent that wanted to do it 5 o'clock on Thursday, so usually done by noon and then stuck around for 4 hours, 5 hours while I waited till the last one, but there's still plenty of time. So if we only wanted to do or offer Monday through Thursday and give everybody the day off Friday, I think it's certainly manageable.
Amy, did secondary do this as well? Or
No, secondary over there, just stick everybody in a room and you just go around teach.
Yeah.
So
That was gonna be my, yeah.
one of the things I think our elementary families really show up to conferences. So I would love to get family perspective on a change that big, I think, for our district. my big takeaway for what I would like to change about calendar is that next year I would love to have calendar committee meet in like October, November. So we're setting the calendar for the next year in the fall and we know what it's gonna be. Because a part of me too worries about making big changes this close to the start of next school year. I mean, we're in the downhill slide to the end of the year. So that is a concern that I have, but I do like the idea, like I really do, and I value it for sure. Any other, yeah, you had a thought?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I've done something similar in another district as well, and it really works well for like the special education teachers, the ELD teachers. When we need to get interpretation to spread that out a little more, it allows the flexibility. For the few people that need to go to additional conferences that can't ever make it to all of them and the two small frames that we have them in, so that is helpful there too.
I was just gonna say, as a parent, I like the idea of more day options. Cause the 2 days is sometimes difficult if one of us has work.
And the evenings fill up fast, so if you're not one of the quick parents to get back on the evening time, then you're stuck with something else.
I'm also wondering if it might alleviate some stress for families who have multiple students. And there's only like a couple time slots to be buddied together, so if it's opening up more options, that could be a benefit to those families and their scheduling.
I used the similar format. Came from Redmond and I always had 100% attendance with that format. That I could connect with every single family every time.
The elementary teachers do a pretty good job of coordinating multiple students that I've seen. I mean, I've done 3 in one school and they've done back to back. So that was pretty good.
The other thing I like is, as a teacher who does 20 conferences in a day, if one, it goes over or one shows up a little late, you still want to give them their time, then you're late for the rest of the day. This doesn't give you that option, like if you're, you're not doing 20 in one day, you're doing a few each night, so you're not gonna get so far behind in conferences either. Less stress for the teacher and less waiting for the families who might be your 14th family, so now you're behind.
I do think we made a big shift too when we went from 2 8 to 8 days and then teachers got a day off and a longer weekend, like.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So you could move the teacher directed day to like looking at October, like the 16th of October. Work, do conferences 4 to 6 Monday through Thursday and Friday comp the time, so it's 2 Fridays for families instead of Thursday, Friday. The teachers get an extra day, like it's a lot of evenings. It's a lot. Conferences are great, but they are a lot, and so I think staff might like an extra like recoup day.
Yeah.
Would that take away from our total student contact days though? Do you mean?
No, because you're just shifting, it's still 2 no contact days, it's just a Friday instead of a Thursday, Friday. Cause the teacher directed day is not a contact day. It's
I
a
thought you said
contract
the
day.
Thursday was a.
Yeah, Thursdays all.
Never mind, yeah.
No, which is an option, but you could also just do school Monday through Thursday, keep 4 contact days and do like 4 to 6 for 4 days, which is essentially a litlittle more than 7.33 hours, but it's 8 extra hours by comp Friday or something like that to balance contract.
So would it work to maybe, go talk with your folks back in your buildings? We can kind of work through some models, and pick this back up. Sounds like there's definitely some benefits to staff and families, which is what we're always looking for, so. And as Denby mentioned, I like how you said the union wants accountability. Well done. I love everything about that. And also we'll think through, this will definitely be a big shift, but it sounds like there's some wins to it. So maybe we can do some, informal.
Shift,
Yeah.
but over the years, we've done conferences so many different ways.
Yeah. So it's some insight, and then we can kind of come back and pick up that.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, if you are only here for calendar committee and you don't wish to stay for academic excellence, totally okay, you're not hurting anyone's feelings, but also if you're here and you're like, yeah, like I want to talk about academic excellence too, great, join the conversation. One of the things that I realized we need to do is approve the minutes.
Before you
last
move on, I have one question though.
Yeah.
When is the next calendar meeting?
Oh,
We usually set the next one before we leave, right? That's usually what we do. So-
yep,
Okay.
sorry, so it is April, which I think we should maybe, it can be set a March meeting. instead.
Move it up.
Because our next academic excellence is in April, and I would love to have this done in March, so it goes to the board in April. Okay. Do we do the calendar? Is that what you're looking at? Those months, okay.
Okay, so into, when do we think we wanna meet?
What about? What about the week of the 9th? How does that look for people? And Tuesday or Wednesday? Wednesday?
I'm good with Wednesday.
Wednesday, 4 o'clock? March 11th will be our next meeting. Great,
You also talked about potentially moving one of those October days into the spring
Yes.
for Bellevue. Is that? Our dear friend from Bellevue, what are you guys thinking?
We love the idea of a May 7, like a Friday earlier, in the month to wrap up some meeting and foundation pieces, but there's some important things at the secondary level to consider. Right?
Yeah, I actually really like that idea of moving it, having a day in May. That gives our departments time to talk about us, just teaching assignments for the next year and being planful and curriculum adoption and all that kind of stuff. So maybe moving one of the ones from October over to May would be.
Our group talked about staff, and I know that. Some people I used to work with, no one from Brick County, would call that month like the death march, and like there's 5 straight weeks of 5-day weeks, which I know can be. Which I know can be tricky, so breaking, I don't know if it matters, but yeah, breaking that up if it's beneficial, might be a good idea.
That'd be good for everybody's sake.
One of the October ones, to me, there's 2 in October.
That's what we were thinking.
I think it'd probably be the 30th. Looking at the October 30th would be moved to May 7th or 14th, seems really reasonable.
Probably love the second is Halloween.
I was gonna say, elementary teachers like the 30th, not as well. That's elementary.
It's on Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the second, we're usually still really strong with
Still.
PD that's really intentional, early October, so. My proposal would be to move the 30th to, again, the 7th or the 14th, maybe be thinking on which of those days is best for you. Yeah, my favorite, when I first started teaching, one of my mentor teachers, she had a calendar invite for her husband to send her flowers on May 1st every year. She knew she was heading into May, which was the worst month, so I love the idea of breaking up May with a day.
May is not the worst month.
Okay, is there anything else that got missed that we didn't discuss?
Can I just advocate for your either doing calendar in the fall or doing a 2-year calendar? At least at the high school level, we are trying really hard to be planful for next year and forecasting and scheduling and all those things. And tech gets really not happy with us when we try to get them to open things up without a calendar already built in there, because they have to redo things twice, and I get it, but so we would love for things to be set by this time in the year so that we can move forward with all of the scheduling.
I could not agree more. Snaps to Anne for bringing that up. I think it's a great idea. Any other final thoughts? Calendar. Hey, that was less painful than I expected. I'm gonna be completely honest. That was great. You guys are an awesome team. Thank you. Thank you for your collaboration on this. Okay, moving on to academic excellence. So, okay, so what I wanted to do today is we're gonna pass around the board goals related to academic excellence. Last time we looked at data and we talked about a lot of different things and ideas. Today, I wanted to bring us back to these goals because we're, over halfway through the school year now, and really get more perspective, especially from staff, on what areas of these goals are you like, man, we are doing so good and this is the why that we're doing so good in this, so we keep doing it. And then which of these goals are you like, ah, man, we'd really like you guys to lean into this and work on some improvement in this area. So it's really just a midpoint reflection on our board goals related to academics. All right, so we'll pass this out, maybe take a minute by yourself and then we'll team up in small groups again to mix it up. Actually, you can just take one and pass with them.
You want to go through these two?
Oh, yeah. Thanks, man. While those are being passed around, if we could approve the minutes from the November meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes from the November meeting.
I'll second. Excellent. Minutes are approved.
No.
Oh, wait. Oh, we need a vote? Okay. It's not what I've been doing with the,
Doing
Okay, so
We can
we'll
do
take
a
a
roll call
vote.
vote.
Roll call vote.
Yeah, we'll go.
All in favor? Do we have to go around the whole room?
I kind of want to make her struggle a little bit with it.
We can do them.
You can come to our FFA meetings anytime you want, and they do this really well.
Yeah, me too. Okay, all in favor?
Excellence committee that votes on it.
Okay, if you are part of the Academic Excellence Committee, now I'd like you to vote on the approval of the minutes from the November 2025 meeting. All in favor? Aye, say aye.
Aye.
With that, motion passes.
All opposed?
Oh, it's all- All opposed? Great. Okay, with that, the motion finally passes and I will be at the next FFA meeting. All right, do you want to quickly turn to a partner and share what your thoughts were, see if there's any commonalities?
Try to go down.
And then. Yeah. And we need to. Yeah, so November,
Like, they're doing really great. They're going to find 2000 other big. And big ones.
We've done it instead of it.
That one's going on.
Last one.
Really smart. Yeah, you might have.
Oh, yeah. And.
All right, let's pull it back. So what are some points of like things we're doing well that you all see from looking at the goals? Anyone can jump in a chair or call on me.
A quick shout out, our goal, what is it? 1.14 around helping our Spanish speaking families. That's one thing we've really targeted this year. We've done a lot of cool stuff and credit to Ashley and her team. There was an awesome family night. Kelsey Swick spoke Spanish. We're doing a soccer night up at Barnesview. There's been some really cool stuff that I think we've made some intentional improvement on.
Love that. Yeah.
I've got more. Eric's done an awesome job with the AI stuff, a really thoughtful planning on getting that policy out on that, so.
That's Other things that stood out.
At the high school level, our CTE programs continue to grow and change and incorporate. We just had a group of kids get wildland firefighting certified, so we ended up with 45 certifications that came out of that. And they loved how it was set up. It was the first time it's been done this way in a high school, and they were like, we are doing this everywhere we go. Can we use you guys as our prototype, and can we come back? And we said, yes, please. Mhm.
Okay, let's jump into opportunities. Where are areas that you'd love to see the district really lean into in the home stretch of the year?
I'll go just because I had a fifth grader going into sixth grade. I think those transitional supports are huge, and I think we need to make sure that we're doing a really good job of being really intentional about supporting those transitions.
Ask a clarifying question for me about why 3-4 is considered a key grade level transition.
I have the same question. I got 2 or 3.
Sent 2-3.
In August too, 2-3 is.
Joel wants to answer.
Yeah, the thinking behind that was, a lot of research around the third grade reading, right? Are kids able to read by the end of third grade on grade level, and how that correlates to a lot of different graduation rates and all that sort of stuff. So the thinking there was, if they're not there by third grade, what can we do in between third to fourth grade so that they start fourth grade on level?
I'm just wondering, is 2-3 the key transition or 3-4 then?
The research was around the end of third grade, so starting fourth grade on level. So that's the thinking there. We want them all. But that's where that came from.
Our conversation was, why is it not 2-3? Because that's like non-testing year to a testing year, so we question the same thing.
Yeah, either way, right, in that we know that range is a target area.
Is there anything particular that you all feel needs to be done to help prepare students for those grade levels that you see as an opportunity for the district?
Is there any vertical planning between like the middle school and fifth grade teachers or the high school and the eighth grade teachers so that kids are, or even the teachers are prepared to help those students transition?
Yeah, Marcus has actually been talking a lot about that this year, I'd say. And there's quite a lot of alignment between high school and middle school staff, I'd say. But wanting to reach down into those fifth grade classes is a point that we're trying to grow on, for sure.
We're a little elementary heavy, but I want to say we took 2 days during in-service, and the high school English department got together with the, so that was actually the core, that vertical alignment from middle school to high school. But I think you're right, where Marcus is really like, okay, well, what about that sixth grade to fifth grade? So I think we need to go down that way a little bit, would be our next focus.
Yeah, he was actually in some high school freshman classes today, and I know that he plans to do this at go see some fifth grade classes too. So he's really being mindful of it. Shout out to Marcus. Other opportunities for growth?
Yeah, I think just really quickly along the lines of the fifth and sixth grade too, we had talked about opening up one of the applications so that you can start to track your kids' assignments in fifth grade, so they kind of start getting used to that sixth grade cadence and start to take some more ownership, or at least they, we tell them to take more ownership, but that's really critical too.
Fun fact on that, if you guys know Kim Krofchak, she's at the high school, she is like the synergy guru, and she's willing to help us. We're still figuring out the details, but making sure all our fifth graders, teachers in the spring are trained, and then she's retiring, but has said she's willing to give kind of on-call support all next year so that fifth grade teachers can kind of learn that and have support. So that'll be really cool. And that came out of, I think, this committee, so.
Yeah.
And we've heard that from parents too, of parents wanting more academic information, so. Should be good.
What is everybody not saying?
Anything else?
I was just thinking we have a lot of data with the math, and I feel like we're focusing a lot on that for the transition between the grade levels. And we're doing So I'd like to think we're doing a good job at organizing that. What I don't know, because it's a lot more muddy and subjective, is the ELA side of things. I don't know if there's some kind of transition we need between elementary and middle, or middle and high school that's not being met, or whether those teachers are being talked to.
One thing I would just say is. There's a lot of data. Just think digital, there's a lot of digital data that exists, but it's in all of these disparate locations. And so we might be able to go and say, okay, let's look at iReady data, or let's look at this other thing. A dream would be, man, if you could pull all that data into one place and you could have like a key, think like the student ID. Student ID stays the same across every data, whether it's AR or iReady or OSAS or whatever it might be. And if you can have that key across everything, then you can look at all the data for one student or a cohort of students, and then you have the ability to ask a singular question of like this cohort on this system, or a complex question, this cohort across all these systems, right? And so if you can corral all that data into one place, and then have a tool that you can ask questions of that like warehouse of data, it becomes really, really powerful. And so it's it would be a big undertaking, but it would be transformative, I think, from a knowledge, like being able to actually visualize what the true, the full corpus of data is actually saying. But how we have a good understanding of that, right?
And that kind of ties into our MTSS work, needing to do that for kiddos we're concerned about academically, but I could see it.
Well, and again, you can take academic data, attendance data, behavioral data, like all of that,
Like
right?
engagement data, like with clubs and stuff like that, like all the early learning sides, being able to.
Mhm.
Right. Anything else? We have a lot of like teachers, administrators here. Is there any resources needed around these goals around the end of the year that we feel we need to discuss? Just curious, throwing it out there. Anything else we can do to support you in these goals? Okay, well, that is all I had. So I'm shocked we are out of calendar committee a little bit early today. The next meeting won't be on April 15th. It will be on just for calendar committee on the, I'm gonna write it down, I put it on mine, on May, wait, March 11th.
Yeah, here at the district office.
Okay,
So Bree, if we take this idea of moving like the conference days and we talk to kind of the school, do we give that feedback, just email it to you?
yeah, that'd be great.
Kind of what people are saying.
Yep, if you could collect feedback from your people and send it back to me, then that'll help our discussion next time for sure.
So Bree, are we thinking though to keep the same dates and change the way we're doing it? Or are you talking about changing the dates as well?
I think that slow change is probably better, would be my personal opinion. So you would keep the same dates, but we would flex those days. So in my mind, if you take April conferences, you would have the availability to do them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wait a minute. All day Thursday. And then that Friday would still be that Friday would become a teacher directed day instead. So that would have to be the day off because of the flex day, sorry, I'm thinking out.
But the teacher directed day needs to go before at some point, or teachers have no time to prep for conferences. We just gotta keep them.
I think that's the part where it gets complicated, because the way that Redmond did it, that teacher directed time, we do it on the Thursday during the day and start conferences at 4, right? 4 to 8. But so we, like, if you were looking at this calendar, Redmond would have April 16th off as a teacher directed day to prepare for conferences. And then you would do them Monday in the evening, Tuesday in the evening, Wednesday in the evening. Then we did them like 8 to 4 on that Thursday and then eight, or eight to, sometimes it was 8 to 6 if you still needed to get like 2 more hours in. And then Friday was off. So it makes more days off for students.
Which then, if it does make more days off for students, that impacts on instructional minutes. And this calendar is very tight for our high school instructional minutes. So that creates, that's
Are we gonna
probably
do
why,
conferences for high school?
yeah, we need to at least offer them, I think, but.
Do we?
Union
Me.
says so, yes.
Okay.
Contractually, we have to, but we talked about shifting what they can tell.
Okay.
Like,
Mhm, yeah, and I think that's like totally open discussion for sure, what they can look like, but the availability has to be there. So Redmond does do a separate schedule, though, they do a separate calendar for their high school, I mean, it's not entirely
Their high
separate,
school
but their
calendar
days
is
aren't the
different. We
same.
do not have, like in
Mhm.
Redmond, we did not have the same elementary conference days as middle school and high school were on their own.
Yeah.
Different schedule, which I appreciate as a parent. I love having my girls on the same schedule. It's really nice, but.
You could do it in between of like what Nick was talking about though, and make like the Friday before teacher directed. And then just do 4 evenings. So there's still school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but 4 to 6 conferences each of those, or whatever.
Mhm.
And still keep
7 minutes.
multiple evening conferences and only 2 days off for, I mean, there's an in between that you could do.
So it'd be 2 Fridays off.
2 Fridays off and 4
For
days of
yeah.
PM conferences,
Yeah.
and then Friday's your comp.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I kind of thought that what it was assumed anyway. Was that not? Did I catch that?
No,
wrong?
they have all day.
There was only school Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There was never school on Thursday. I think if we only did evenings all 4 days, I mean, you'd have to go pretty late every day to make sure that you gave enough blocks, but having all of Thursday, you know, plenty of blocks during the day, it's different, those things, yeah.
So you'd have to have 3 hours of conferences if you kept school, because you'd have to have 12 total hours of conferences. So that means you're asking teachers to work 11-hour days.
And then
4
you
days.
would lose a contact day, cause you'd have to do a half and a half. To comp, and you would end up losing one. Student contact day.
So could we just tack a extra student contact day on the end or at the beginning?
I don't think so, because we're already pushing June out really.
You'd have, that would have a district directed PD day to do
About
that.
like a Saturday.
The other thing that I would want to keep is the high school support days, and I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
With the talk of this, we'd wanna make sure that that was protected, because that's a
Mhm.
practice that's gotten really embedded and is effective. Okay,
Yeah.
did you have something else, calendar wise? We're just structured for that.
I just want to make sure, or when Betty and I go back and tell the exec board what was discussed here, if there's anything that we need to survey our members on, if this is not a possibility, I don't want to put the survey out for the teachers, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want the meeting to go longer, but I don't feel clear enough going back surveying our members to say, hey, do you want conferences to go this way or the current way? When we don't know if we're not gonna have school the Friday before, so we have prep for it. So I feel like from the union perspective, like I don't think we have solid enough information to go back and survey our members at this point. Which would make the meeting that we have in March go out to April, and I know you want to take it to the board in April. So I just want to put that out there that I don't know if these are big changes, and I support those changes like personally, but I don't know if it's solid enough to go back to the union and put those out right now.
I think we'd wanna have like a draft account, if, you know, I think there's this difference between, hey, I'm formally asking my colleagues, hey, what do you think about conferences versus we're gonna send a survey out to the
Right.
union. Where I don't think we're to that place where we'd be able to say, here's the plan, give us your feedback. So I think it's more of informally, or people interested in a different model, you know, I'd interpret that.
So with that being said, I'm thinking maybe it's an idea we kind of work on to implement for the following year's calendar. Like if we're talking about adopting a calendar in the fall, like working earlier next year that is that appropriate, you think, to say we would push that change out for a year? or the idea, potential of it. People feel somewhat okay with that?
Doesn't sound like it's a home run tonight, you know?
Okay.
So yeah, we might wanna, if we wanna take it to the board in April, then we wanna
Mhm.
maybe informally start continuing to think about it, not making it a formal proposal, and then bring it back to the conversation next year. Nick,
It is an awesome
is that
idea.
okay with you though?
Whatever.
Don't want- You take a risk, you were vulnerable, I don't wanna.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
How did you guys prepare? Did you guys have a day off before that you prepared?
Yeah, there was a conference prep day that you had.
Right.
That you, and, you know, and most teachers have used it as, because you're prepping all the time for conferences and things, so. You know, you can end up using that day or whatever you need in classrooms as well. But there was an actual prep day prior to conferences that used to be.
Maybe we should get on hold of Redmond's calendar. I don't think we can do this for next year, but as we think about this idea, let's look at how they're doing it.
Yeah.
They've already created it. Let's do that.
If you
So-
hold
so
one,
great
for
idea.
sure.
All right. That being said, we're gonna adjourn the meeting at 5:01. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.